This is Daily Armenia, ＳivilNeթ's daily news digest. Here's what's making headlines in Armenia today. The lower house of Switzerland's parliament passed a motion calling for the country to host a Nagorno-Karabakh peace forum. It passed the federal council by a vote of 90 to 80, with 16 abstentions, and now goes to the upper council of states. If enacted, the motion obligates the Swiss government to facilitate an international peace forum within a year that will provide an open dialogue between Azerbaijan and representatives of the Nagorno-Karabakh Armenians under international supervision in order to negotiate a safe and collective right of return. The motion previously passed the Council's Foreign Affairs Committee in October. In a debate prior to the vote, Foreign Minister Ignacio Cassis urged the body to reject the motion in the name of Swiss neutrality and argued that it could harm the ongoing normalization process between Armenia and Azerbaijan. Supporters of the motion countered the importance of giving the people of Nagorno-Karabakh a voice and interpreted neutrality in a different way. As the motion's rapporteur, Councillor Nicola Valder told SivilNet after the vote, "We have to use our neutrality to call for the respect of human rights and international humanitarian law, and in the case of conflicts such as what happened in Nagorno-Karabakh, with the expulsion of tens of thousands of people, we as a neutral country use our neutrality to make the right of the people to be respected." Prosecutors in Azerbaijan have referred a criminal case against many of the former Nagorno-Karabakh officials and prisoners of war known to be held there to the Baku Military Court, according to a report in the Azerbaijani press. This comes as it became known that a separate case against former Artsakh State Minister Ruben Vardanyan could result in a life sentence. In the referral made to the court yesterday, a total of 1,389 criminal cases stretching back almost 40 years against 15 of the 23 known prisoners, including former Artsakh presidents Arkady Hukasyan, Bako Sahakyan, and Areg Harutyunyan, were combined into a single proceeding. Most of the prisoners have been detained since September 2023, when they were captured after an Azerbaijani military attack on Karabakh resulted in the collapse of the now-defunct breakaway republic and forced displacement of almost its entire population. Armenia's foreign ministry announced the resumption of diplomatic mission operations in Syria's capital Damascus yesterday, with the embassy now functioning normally and already receiving Armenian citizens after a temporary relocation due to security concerns. The Armenian diplomatic representation in Damascus has resumed its operations. The embassy's consular section has returned to business as usual, the ministry's statement reads. The Armenian embassy had temporarily suspended its operations in Damascus since December 8th, operating from the Lebanese capital Beirut, when the Turkish-backed Islamist movement Hayat Tahrir al-Sham took control of the capital and ousted the government led by President Bashar al-Assad. Armenia's consulate in Aleppo, the country's second-largest city, had closed a week earlier when Islamist forces seized control. This consulate is also going to be reopened, the foreign ministry said, although it did not provide a specific date. While Syria remains home to a historic Armenian diaspora community, the number of Armenians has reduced from around 100,000 people to no more than 35,000 since 2010, with the latest developments forcing even more Armenians out of the country amid safety concerns regarding Christian ethnic minorities under a new Islamist government. While numerous Syrian Armenians fled to Lebanon, some of them later traveled to Armenia, where they are expected to be granted refugee status, according to the country's Office for Diaspora Affairs. However, many have opted to remain in Syria. Armenia's parliamentary speaker Alen Simonyan met with his Indian counterpart Jagdeep Dhankhar and Om Birla, the chairman of both the upper and lower chambers of the Indian parliament, today during his visit to New Delhi discussing bilateral relations. We discussed strengthening relations between our countries, enhancing interparliamentary dialogue, education and economic cooperation, fostering people-to-people connections, and the peace process in the South Caucasus, Simonyan posted on X, formerly Twitter. He also met with India's President Draupadi Murmu yesterday, briefing her on the normalization negotiations between Yerevan and Baku and Armenia's Crossroads of Peace initiative that aims to open transport links in the region. Armenia and India have grown increasingly close in recent years, particularly in defense cooperation. Armenia has been purchasing weapons from India after reducing the reliance on Russian munitions since 2022. Recent arms deals include howitzers, armored vehicles, munitions, and air defense systems. The two countries are also boosting economic cooperation alongside Iran. A proposed trade route linking Armenia to India through Iran's Chabahar seaport would bypass Azerbaijan and Pakistan, further strengthening ties between Yerevan and New Delhi. You can also watch our interview with Tinatin Hidasheli, the former Defense Minister of Georgia, covering the democratic challenges facing her country. A long-standing human rights advocate, Hidasheli dives into the factors contributing to the perceived weakness of the pro-Western political opposition in Georgia. She also touches upon the impact of Russian disinformation campaigns and the strategies needed to reinvigorate Georgia's democratic institutions and Euro-Atlantic aspirations. Watch the full interview by following the link in the video description.
So parliament, government, different names, all they do for this week is putting together pieces of legislation, basically.
And as always, please follow CivilNet for the latest news and independent reporting from our contributors on the ground here in Armenia.